This video is for educational and knowledge purpose. Everything you will listen in this video is taken from the internet or any book or any documentary which is available for public.
Hello friends, a very warm welcome to the Truth Gap channel. I hope you all are doing very well. Today's story is about one of the oldest and most mysterious murder cases in the history of Germany. The more you dig into this case, the more complicated it becomes. This is not just about solving a murder, but many strange, mysterious, and frightening things happened in this story. So, what exactly was this case? What happened? And what is the complete story? I am Olivia, and I am going to start telling you now. Munich is a very famous city in Germany. This region is also the capital of Bavaria. Around 70 kilometers away from here, there is a small village named Gruber. This story is from 1921. Slightly outside this village, about 500 meters away, there used to be a farmhouse named Hinterkaifeck. This farmhouse was surrounded by thick forests on 3 sides. Only one side was a bit open, the side towards Gruber. Apart from this, it was the only farmhouse in the area, as there was no other house within a radius of 500 meters. A family of farmers used to live at this farmhouse. In the year 1922, a tragic event unfolded at a secluded German farmhouse. 6 lives were ended in mysterious circumstances. These victims were attacked in their sleepwear, leaving many to speculate. Was this the work of a frenzied killer? A family dispute gone wrong? Or perhaps something orchestrated by powerful figures of the era? In this episode, let's explore the puzzling Hinterkaifeck murders. The story begins on Friday, March 31st, 1922. Fresh snow blanketed the farmland of Kaifeck, a small settlement near Weidhofen, southern Germany. The Gruber farm thrived with strong local trading and was mostly self-reliant, with plenty of food. The property included 1 main building and several barns, all looking striking against the white landscape. That day, their housekeeper, Maria Baumgartner, also lived on the farm. By evening, the daily chores were finished, and everything seemed routine. But Andreas had been unsettled by strange events in the days before. At the back of the farm, beside thick woods, he noticed footprints in the snow, leading from the forest to the house. Though nobody from the family had gone there, there were no traces showing anyone leaving, which left Andreas anxious about a possible intruder who vanished without a sign. He had also reported odd noises from the attic, misplaced items, an unfamiliar newspaper on the doorstep, and disappearing keys. Andreas chose not to accept a neighbor's offer for a weapon, but his growing sense of unease about unexplained events lingered. Despite all these warning signs, as night came, the Gruber family and their maid went to bed, unaware of the tragedy that would soon take place. The violence that night was severe. Because the crime wasn't reported quickly, investigators couldn't pinpoint the exact time of death. 4 days passed before neighbors found the bodies. They had been hidden under straw inside the barn, stacked together. The mayor was notified, and police began their investigation only on April 5th. Inspector Georg Reingruber arrived from Munich to oversee the case. Dr. Johann Baptist Miller performed autopsies on site, sending the heads of the victims for further analysis. Although nothing new was uncovered, evidence suggested the murders were quick and calculated. Each person suffered grave head and facial injuries. In 2 cases, signs of strangulation appeared, hinting that the attacks might not have gone entirely as planned. The culprit had personal motives tied to the women in the home. The youngest, Josef, was reportedly killed in his crib, while the rest were lured to the barn before meeting their fate. The maid, Maria, who had just started her job the day before, was found dead in her room. Following the murders, someone tried to conceal the bodies under the straw. According to accounts, young Kazelia might have survived initially and was found clutching her hair, likely from shock and pain. Police documentation described a range of terrible injuries suffered by each family member. The Hinterkaifeck murders remain unsolved, with no one ever prosecuted. Inspectors were puzzled by how the guilty parties could vanish so completely. Investigators found signs the crime scene had been disturbed by visitors before police arrived. Still, some vital clues were gathered. Money remained untouched, so theft was ruled out. Intriguingly, there were signs someone stayed at the house after the murders. Animals had been fed, and the cows milked. Neighbors mentioned seeing smoke from the chimney during the days following the tragedy. Another surprising discovery by police was evidence of an incestuous relationship between Andreas and his daughter, Victoria. The Gruber family, particularly Andreas, had a troubled reputation because of this, and some locals resented them. Despite heavy investigation, police couldn't locate the murderer until a year later, when a farmhand revealed it was a mattock crafted by Andreas himself. The tool showed the killer had agricultural expertise. Inspector Gruber tirelessly searched for answers, interviewing over 100 people, but never charging anyone. Friends and townsfolk who had visited after the murders included a postal worker and a mechanic. Even Maria Baumgartner's predecessor had left months earlier, claiming the house was haunted. Stories circulated about mysterious footprints and frightening sounds at the farm. But the detectives looked at many suspects. Lorenz Schlittenbauer, a neighbor, was an early suspect due to his personal history with the family. He had once hoped to marry Victoria and was forced to pay support for Josef, the child he believed was his son. Some suspected resentment and betrayal as motives in this complex family history. Reports of Schlittenbauer's behavior and his presence at the scene added to doubts. Others identified Victoria's husband, Karl Gabriel, presumed dead in World War I but never found, as a possible suspect. The revelation that Andreas fathered Josef could have sparked a motive for revenge if Karl had returned. Political angles were also explored, as some believed extremist groups targeted the farm due to Andreas's political views as a Nazi sympathizer. Suspects with links to paramilitary groups like Adolf Hitler were considered. Police couldn't gather enough evidence and even faced a deathbed confession years later without a conviction. There were wild theories, too, involving an escaped mental patient and notorious German criminals. Some wondered if the farmstead itself, being isolated and practical, was the real target for those wishing to claim the property. But despite countless leads and suspects, the case faded into obscurity. Even a 2007 investigation concluded much evidence was lost and never collected, which may keep the secret of Hinterkaifeck forever hidden. Some believe the killer stayed hidden in the attic, able to spy on the family's daily life, making the attack all the more chilling. The lack of thorough investigation in 1922 and the loss of victims' heads meant critical clues were likely missed. With no will left, the family was buried, headless, and the murder site was destroyed and rebuilt over time. Only scant images, sketches, and minor memorials remain. Today, Hinterkaifeck only survives in mystery stories, books, and films about the case. As nearly a century has passed, the truth about what happened that night remains elusive. The town itself has changed names and is now part of a larger district, but a small memorial marks the spot, honoring the Gruber and Gabriel families. Many still revisit the crime, hoping for new answers. But for now, the case sits unresolved, a century-old puzzle that haunts historians, writers, and anyone.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Stay connected with our channel.